Hey family, it's your girl, the Mystic Mover, and I'm going to be bringing to you an Infinite Intelligence series where we focus on me teaching you how to connect the soul's mind to the infinite knowledge of the universe. If you did not know, you were created to be able to do so many things, but sometimes we can look at all of the things in which we need to create and we can stumble and we can get stuck. But I just want to pull you in and give you a few pointers and tips as you are creating your reality so that you are able to make sure that you can trust yourself and that you can really focus on what it is that you are wanting to build. Now, not everybody's journey is going to be the same. Some people are further along in this stage of their life and other people are maybe just starting. However, this information is going to be able to help you at any phase of your life. So for the month of July, we're going to be focusing on building your reality. And at any place in your life, no matter if you are as established as you desire or not established, you can always, the mind's never going to stop creating, imagining, and being pulled into a different arena of life. So this is why I'm saying that this information can be used across whatever area you are in life. So what we're focusing on today is sending out an energy that brings you a great return. Now, when I say a great return, I mean a return to you, I'll say karma, some good karma in which you feel very accomplished, where you feel like you are seeing the results for everything that you are putting out into the world. I want you to understand it from this point of view. Now, think about your favorite dish, something that you enjoy eating, really, really good, okay? Now, you can sit up and you can think about this, you can visualize it, you can just imagine it being on the plate and all of this, but what will happen eventually is that you'll have to do something about it, whether that is ordering that food and having it delivered to you or going out, getting the ingredients and cooking it for yourself. Either way, there is going to be some type of action that is required beyond the visualization that is going to really help it come into a manifested form. So let's say you are going to cook this dish. Now, first we have to think about what is it that we need. And that's the same thing you want to do in your life. What is it that I need in order for me to be in alignment with what it is that I am creating? Because you can have the wrong ingredients and trying to make something that is not going to work because you don't have the right things in place. And that's going to be different for everyone. And I normally do not tell you to look outside of yourself, but it is very important that you are aware of the environments and the friendships, the connections, your day-to-day life. All of this matters. Habits, routines, and things that make you you, make the essence of you, because what we see there is going to be a pattern, and that pattern is going to be a huge indicator of why something is working or why something is not working. So going back to this cooking analysis, so when you are getting ready to cook and you have determined the ingredients that you are going to need, those ingredients for you could be going to bed at a certain time, positive self-talk, making sure I exercise, making sure I isolate myself. These are examples of ingredients that you use in your day-to-day life in order for you to build a reality. Now, bringing it back to the actual food dish. Now, when you get ready to eat your dish, you don't just pick up whatever, bell pepper, whatever, and just bite into it, because it's not going to give you that final full manifested form. You're actually jumping the curve because you're so hungry for something that you are not really thinking through the process of what it takes. And this is a reminder that patience is necessary throughout this process. Energy is something that takes form like this. However, in order for it to, depending on what it is that you're calling in, there has to be a lot of this. a lot of different types of energy that comes in that eventually builds upon an energy so great that it becomes the manifested form. So when we're sending out energy and we're expecting some type of return from whatever energy that we are calling in, we have to be very patient with these energies, because it's just like submitting an order. When you submit an order for one thing and then you try to submit an order for something else and then something else, you don't get all of those things at the same time, depending on when you put those orders in. It takes time for things to come about. So when we're sending out energy that brings in a great return, first I said you need to know exactly what it is that you are wanting, and then you need to have patience with those things. So now that we have all of the ingredients that we have to make this food, we know that there are steps and processes. And in each step and process, this represents some type of phase or journey in your life. It's not going to come together on a plate and be hand delivered to you when you are cooking it. You have to chop the onion, saute the onion, add in whatever mixtures you want depending on how you are doing it, a little season, a little this, and you have to keep going and going until you get that right taste. And this, like I said, represents phases of your life. When all things are not really making sense, you have to understand that that reality does not just come like this overnight. That reality is built through steps, through increments of energy. And this is very important, because sometimes when the increment of a certain amount of energy is still forming, we can become frustrated because it's not the full reality. But no, you are actually on the right path, and you are actually working in the appropriate way to make the energy come towards you. So when we're sending out energy on a daily basis, you want to focus on what you are asking, what your intentions are, what your actions were. This is going to be a very huge indicator of any type of pattern, any type of habit, any type of routine that may or may not be great for the recipe of what we are asking or desiring. And there are so many different phases for energy to grow, or for energy to become the final form in which we desire it to be. So what we do have to understand when we are in the waiting process of this is that what we're doing in this moment is going to be well worth it once we receive what we are putting energy for. So my suggestion to you is to write down 10 things that you know that you need as ingredients to what it is that you are trying to create for yourself. This is important because this is your alignment sheet. I have to be in alignment with these 10 things or working towards it. If the alignment of the 10 things that you are working towards is not something that you can do all in one, that is perfectly fine. That is typically how things are. When you do a recipe, they have numbers from 1 to whatever number, and you have to follow it in those steps, and it's perfectly fine. Start with small steps, work your way through, get your energy familiar and comfortable with working in this way until it becomes a second nature. And as that becomes second nature, introduce yourself to something else and something else. And in the midst of this, the greatest thing that you can do is to show gratitude and appreciation for what you already have. Even if it is hard for you to do such, you still want to show gratitude for where you are and for what you already have, because this magnifies that energy. And when you are looking to send out an energy for a greater return, remember, it's going to take you believing in yourself, being honest with yourself, and being dedicated to the process. So don't get thrown off when something does not happen in the way in which you desire or the way in which you envisioned, because there are a multitude of ways for things to align for you. And maybe the way that you are thinking is not the best way, or it's not the easiest way, or it's not the most efficient way. It could be a plethora of reasons and why it did not happen in that way. But your greatest focus is to make sure that the energy that you are sending back to this reality is in a match of the things that you have written. Because the things that you have written is what your soul knows is going to be required. And you cannot put a restriction on how it's going to manifest for you. So, working throughout this week until I see you again on next Wednesday, remember, make sure that you are sending out the appropriate energy to be able to receive back to yourself a great return. See you next week.